Hello, my name is Paul Wilton. I'm a technical architect working with the BBC News Labs team focusing on the semantic technologies. I'm going to be talking about the News Labs semantic APIs. Over the past year or so, we've been semantically tagging news articles from a number of sources, for example the BBC, The Guardian, Financial Times, etc., with linked data identifiers from DVpedia. These are typically people, places and organisations. We currently have over 1 million articles semantically tagged. We've stored the metadata for all these articles along with the linked data tags and the DVpedia ontology in an RDF database. This is a triple store, and this allows us to make some really cool and quite powerful queries using the Sparkle query language against this data to find and navigate news via the things that the news is about. Now, the News Labs APIs let us make these queries returning easily consumable JSON. And the APIs focus on three key resource groups: the linked data concepts, the people, the places, the creative works, the news articles, and storylines. Storylines are an entity that the newsroom curates to weave together the narrative of a running news story. The APIs are available through an Apogee proxy that you can access by signing up to Apogee and requesting an API key online. Okay, I'll now take you through some example API calls using the Postman plugin in Chrome. Instructions for trying out this collection of examples are available on the BBC News Labs website. News Labs APIs, and you can see that I've opened up the Postman plugin in Google Chrome. And so the first thing we want to do is go to the Collections tab here and import a collection. And then you paste in the URL for the collection underneath in this area here and press Import. And you can find the URL for the Postman collection on the News Labs website. And that should work. And then here we have a collection of the News Labs APIs. And if you click on that, we can see all the different API example calls down the left-hand side. And the next thing we need to do is set up an environment to make these calls against. And so up the top here, we can click on this and say Manage Environments, add a new environment, and we can call that News Labs API, and we need to add two variables in here, one a host and one the API key, which is the Apogee API key you get when you sign up for Apogee, and the values to put into the host is on the News Labs website. And then you select your new environment and then we're ready to go. So now we'll look at two more interesting API calls around concepts. These are occurrences and co-occurrences. The occurrences API lets us find the most frequently tagged concepts in the knowledge base within a time window. So we can say before this date and after this date, which are the most frequently occurring concepts. So in this case, I've said since the 1st of March 2014, find me the most frequently occurring people in news. And I can press send, and we can see here I bet back an array of 10 frequently occurring things. Vladimir Putin has come out on top with 1,763 occurrences, and all the way down to Jose Mourinho in 10th position with 537. The co-occurrences is a little more interesting again, and here we're saying given a source concept, find me concepts which co-occur with a source concept in news. So we pass in the URI of a source concept. In this case I've passed in Nigel Farage, and I want co-occurring people, so I'm qualifying it by person, with co-occurring with Nigel Farage since the 1st of February 2014. Again, we press send on there, and we can see I have co-occurrences. And so we have Nick Clegg co-occurs with Nigel Farage, David Cameron, Ed Miliband, Vladimir Putin, etc. The next one, find creative works, lets us search creative works in the repository via the tagged entities on the creative works. And we can pass in a collection of tags, one or more, and then apply a Boolean operator to those to say how we want to match creative works thereon. The next one is a bit more interesting, and it allows us to exploit the DVpedia graph a bit deeper, and rather than finding creative works explicitly about supplied tags. We can do a multi-hop query to say find me creative works that are about a specific type of entity. In this case, I've said find me creative works that are tagged with people which have a relationship to the Conservative Party. The relationship is a predicate from the DBpedia ontology, and the object is a instance from the knowledge base. So I'm going to get back here 5 articles that are tagged with people associated with the Conservative Party. And the next one is a geospatial query, so we can find creative works geospatially by passing in a point, a latitude and longitude, and a radius, and we will find creative works tagged with locations within 15 kilometres in this case of that location. And joining these together, we can do a find creative works geospatial multi-hop, where I'm finding creative works tagged with people with a relationship to the Conservative Party, as before, within 15 kilometres of that location, Sheffield. And then we get back a collection of articles that meet that criteria.
Yeah, is that it?
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
perfect.
Now we've got the. Do we want to do the storyline one? Should we do the storyline one, the last one?
Yeah.
Yeah. There's a full text search one. I think we'll leave that one out, and people can just play with that when they get there. I think we should mention the storyline one though, because it's key to the 3 areas I've sort of introduced here.
Okay.
So the last APIs we'll look at are around the storyline entities, storylines and events, and we have a find things API call, which sounds very generic, but it is a polymorphic search which lets us find creative works, storylines or events in the knowledge base based on the tags which have been applied to them. In this case here, I'm going to demonstrate finding things tagged with Syria, and this could give me back storylines or creative works or events all mashed up in one big response. So I'll press send on there, and we can see it's a slightly different response format because it's we're getting back different types of entities, but we get back a collection of things which could be one of those 3 creative works, storylines or events. We can filter this by type, so we can say give me just storylines tagged with Syria. So it's a good way of finding storylines in the knowledge base. So if we click on there, we can find, we get back just storylines along with the people, places and organisations and the creative works that that storyline has been associated with. And finally, we can look up a storyline based on something within the vicinity of that storyline, i.e. a sub-storyline or an event. So if we pass in the URI of a storyline into this one, into this API call, what we get back is the storyline itself, its slots, and the things in the slots, the events and the storylines, and the relationships of the slots to each other, of which if one slot follows another slot, and the title, the description, and as much metadata as we can supply about that storyline. So this will let us build up this narrative around a storyline and navigate along the timeline or the graph of the storyline.